So we are now live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the GANYC's monthly meeting for the month of March. And we're going to get started in just a moment. We have two wonderful guest speakers tonight, as well as committee reports and other news. So we'll get started in just a moment. I see the numbers are rising, so welcome, everybody. John, thank you. John just put the agenda, a link to the agenda in the chat box. And when you're writing your comments in the chat box, please remember to address to all panelists and attendees. Thank you, Jeremy, for that reminder, because otherwise it just goes to the panelists and not everyone can see often some very interesting remarks. When we get to after the panelists have spoken, we will have a Q&A, so please be sure to put your questions into the Q&A section. All right, so the numbers are still going up. We'll wait another moment or so. And I hope everybody's doing well. So this is being recorded, so you will be welcome to watch this at a later date if you have to leave the meeting early. So we'll get started in just a moment. John looks like he stepped out a moment. Hopefully he will be returning. Okay, well, why don't we get started then? I see the numbers have slowed down. So welcome, everybody. Welcome once again to the monthly meeting. It's been, we had a very busy February. It's nice to get to March. It's nice to know that spring is on its way. Now, I don't have very much for my opening, but what I would like to do is, first of all, to congratulate everyone on the awards committee, especially Matt Baker, Bob Gelber, and Robin Garr for all of their hard work in getting the awards put together. It was a roaring success. It was such a fun evening. I have to say, I loved it. I loved being in sweats with a cocktail, just watching it on a little screen. I mean, I love being at the awards and being with everybody, but it was, given the circumstances, that was a lot of fun. So thank you all so very much. I'm going to just share my screen with you for a moment, and just to show you all some of the great comments that we got for the awards. So it was an online event, and Toya and Nitin, if you care to, you can also watch this on our YouTube channel, and it's a lot of fun. And we did this on February 22nd, and I have to say a good time was had by all. And the great thing was afterwards, all of the feedback we got, including the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Metropolitan Museum has a biweekly newsletter, it's an internal newsletter just for staff and volunteers called Met Matters. And GANYC had a full page spread. They were thrilled to have won. It was the third time the Met had been nominated, and they won their award for outstanding achievement in New York City museum exhibitions for making the Met their wonderful, wonderful 150th anniversary exhibition. So it was just great. And everybody at the museum, I know all the volunteers that I know there, everybody reads this avidly. And so they got to see that. And I think that I can tell you the museum was thrilled. I know Bob made a huge splash when he brought the award into the museum itself. So we also got a little shout out from the Gotham Center for New York City History. They won the best podcast and radio program. And they put this right on their website, and they tweeted about it as well. So they were also very happy and grateful for that. On the Merchant House Museum, we are front and center now on their website, winner of the Apple Awards, and they have a nice photo of their award right there. And they also included that in their email newsletter. And there were also nice tweets about it too. So it's always good to get that. And GANYC members, please remember, if you have a Twitter, if you use Twitter to tweet about everything that goes on and send it out there, the more noise is out there, the better. Okay, so congrats to everyone. Congratulations to the Apple Awards, and for a really great job for our 7th annual. The other thing I want to mention to you was that the WFTGA is having their virtual conference starting tomorrow. It starts at 6 a.m. tomorrow because it's done in Austria time. Vienna is where the WFTGA, the World Federation of Tourist Guides Associations, is officially located. And so it starts tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. The big day is going to be the professional day. That's the only day actually that does have a charge. It's 15 euros, which is about $18. Definitely worth it. That's going to cover the expenses of the conference. And so we have different things happening every day. The first day is educational day. The second day is professional day. And the third day will have different social events going on, which you can pre-register for. So please just go to the website. It's the virtualwftga.org, and make sure you register for that. And it'll be done via Zoom. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a really, I think it's going to be a really good event for everyone. So I'm going to stop my share, and that's really all I have. I'll put the link to register. I'll make sure to put that into the chat box. Just one thing I want to mention is that we will have an industry partner vote tonight for Wave Hill. They've applied to be industry partners, and Mike Morgenthau will send out the ballot via Wild Apricot. So you'll be receiving that. In your email box shortly. Yes, the conference, the WFTGA conference, is going to be recorded. Parts of it are going to be recorded, and they will be online. And there will also be a live stream on their YouTube channel, on the WFTGA YouTube channel. So you can watch that too if you don't actually register for it. But there are certain things that will, there's certain parts of the day that will just be for registered participants. So not everything will be shared just with the general public. So please make sure you register for it. And yes, you have to get up really early, but since it's a webinar format, you will just be participating as an attendee. So you can do it in your pajamas. It's nothing, you don't need to dress up and participate. So you can get up early and then go back to bed afterwards. But it's going to be very interesting, and it's from all around the world. So I really advise you to do that. I've actually been working on the committee to organize it. So we've done a lot, and it should be a lot of fun. It's not very long. Each day is only about 2.5, 3 hours, and all the presentations are nice and short. So it's just bing, bing, bing. So I hope you'll enjoy that. So I'm actually going to turn off my screen. Mike Morgenthau will be running the rest of the meeting. I'm a little under the weather because yours truly managed to get herself a little bit of COVID here. So I'm going to be retiring for the evening right now, but I will be watching and popping into the chat too as much as I can. But so thank you all for that. Thank you, Mike, for taking over. And right now I'll pass it over to Bob, who will be introducing our speakers. So have a great time, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Emma, and feel good. So thank you all for coming tonight. I'm thrilled to have you all here. And before I introduce our two guest speakers, I want to give a shout out to Ina Selden, who is the Vice President of the New Amsterdam Center. I know she's logged on tonight. Ina was the first person, I should really say, reached out to GANYC back in August. She was inviting GANYC members as guests to the center's then upcoming virtual program, New York is a Dutch City, which took place back on October 6th. And I know that numerous GANYC guides were guests and had logged on. It was the center's virtual program, and it was an amazing conversation between author Russell Shorto and architectural historian, the late, great Barry Lewis, who unfortunately passed away about 6-7 weeks ago. And it was narrated by the Manhattan borough historian, Robert Snyder. Since that time, Ina and I have had numerous phone conversations. We've passed emails back and forth, and she's let GANYC know about incredible programs that have been available through the New Amsterdam History Center. And I also wanted to let everyone know that the New Amsterdam History Center is now a strategic partner of GANYC. And that was her connection with Mike Morgenthau, second vice president here at GANYC and also chair of the Industry Relations Committee. So Ina, I know you're there watching somewhere. Thank you so much. And also thank you for bringing to us our two guest speakers. So without wasting any time, and even doing a description of the mapping project for the center that they're going to be discussing, I want to read two brief bios and then we're going to begin. So first we have Toya Dubin, who is the president of the Hudson Archival. Ms. Dubin is a graduate of New York University and has held leadership positions at Hudson Archival since 2002. Ms. Dubin is a member of the Archivists Round Table and has served on the board of the New Amsterdam History Center and the Greater Hudson Heritage Network. Ms. Dubin has provided online presentations for the Smithsonian Institute's National Air and Space Museum, the Cooperstown Graduate Program in Museum Studies, and the History Alliance upstate, among other organizations. And recently, she provided a 2-week in-person training program for the staff at the National Archives in Oman. Next, we have Nitin Gadya. Nitin is an independent digital cartographer and multimedia producer. His work with the New Amsterdam History Center focuses on fully developing the information and maps relating to Dutch colonial period in New York's history. Nitin has also worked with Map Story Foundation and numerous additional mapping projects. So welcome both, and I turn the mic and the stage over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting us to present at your meeting. It's a great honor. And many thanks also to Ina for making this connection and for encouraging us to do the presentation tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to just get started by showing you the very front page of the New Amsterdam History website. For those of you who are not aware of our organization or some of the wonderful tools that we're about to show you, you just type in newamsterdamhistorycenter.org and you will arrive at our site. What we're going to be talking about this evening is the Mapping Early New York project. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of history on that project. As you can see, this is the Vingboons map, the very famous Vingboons drawing of the lower end of Manhattan in the time of the Dutch colonial period. I want to make sure that you get some links and contact info. So this entire presentation will be available to all of you as a PDF. So please don't frantically try to write down links while I'm speaking. They'll all be available to you after the presentation is over. And you can feel free to reach out to any of us on email if you have questions beyond the questions and answers portion of this evening's presentation. I also want to make sure that we thank very much the Society of the Daughters of Holland Dames of New York, who made the Mapping Early New York project possible through a series of grants that have been really instrumental in allowing us to move forward. So what's the origin of this project? Well, originally, there was the virtual New Amsterdam project, planned as a 3D model of New Amsterdam in 1660 and funded by the Empire State Development Corporation and the wonderful folks at Collegiate Church Corporation. Beginning in 2005, a project was undertaken to try to create a 3D model of Lower Manhattan in the year 1660, and there was a launch of the website in 2008. Len Tantillo, the very famous historic painter and architect, helped to create the 3D models, and figures from 17th century paintings were used to populate that world. We even had a scholarly review committee headed by the wonderful Firth Fabend, a very well-respected scholar and writer on the subject of the Dutch Colonial Period. And that scholarly review committee actually reviewed and approved every aspect of the look of the Castello plan at that time. So we're going to take a look at that right now. So you can see we have a little 3D tour online that allows you to sort of fly over what Stone Street, which was the one paved street in New Amsterdam at the time, might have looked like. You'll see as we fly down onto Stone Street, there are Dutch houses and folks who are on horseback. There are all kinds of very typical items like barrels, hogshead barrels of beer and various things on the street here. And we even tried very hard to make sure that all the distances were correct in this 3D world, and many of the houses that are represented here, we had very specific measurements of those houses, even descriptions as to which were made of wood and which were made of stone. As you can see, this little wooden house, we actually even managed to do the beginnings of interior modeling so that it was possible to walk into the house and see the grandmother peeling some apples and mom and the children, and get a sense of the size of space. This particular family, the Barnevelts, there were 9 people living in that space. So it's a very different, not too dissimilar from a very crowded New York apartment. You can see that, that we even tried to model the gardens in the back to a degree with some of the plants and animals that might have been there, including those very gray looking Dutch pigs. They were not the pink English pigs. And there are a lot of pigs because according to statistics, there were almost as many pigs in the streets as people. The pigs were sort of a cleanup sanitation squad that would wander around eating whatever had been slopped out of doors. This is a view of a tavern, and quite an amazing number of buildings in the 300 or so buildings that we modeled were taverns. Beer was big business, and without it, you really weren't going to survive the climate and temperatures. So we had this wonderful 3D tour. But, sorry, what's the point of a 3D world without any more information? It's just a flyby. It's kind of cool, but it doesn't really tell you all that much. So the encyclopedia was born. It was originally planned as a way to provide a little bit of additional information about the 3D model and the world of 1660. We started using the Castello plan and the tax lots. For those of you, I'm hoping many of you are familiar with the Castello plan. It has this very nice key that labels every single tax lot. And we were able to add the people who lived there. And then we just kept growing it. By 2010, we had added curricula for the 4th, 7th, and 11th grade students, which is available here in the encyclopedia. So we're going to take you to the encyclopedia, which is available right on our website. And really important for those of you who are doing research for your tours, please know that the encyclopedia is always here. We love to hear from people if you have information that you'd like to share about a particular tax lot or a particular person, and it's being added to all the time. So this is the encyclopedia page, and you can see it's organized by tax lots, grant lots, ancestors, male and female, their marriages. You can see here, I can, either scroll through the tax lots if I wish, or perhaps I'd like to search for a particular tax lot. This time I'm going to look for C7 and I'm going to get a maintenance, unfortunately. But there we go. Classic blue screening in the middle of a demo. Wonderful. In Ancestors Mail, you'll see that we have quite a number of ancestors who lived in New Amsterdam at the time. And same thing with the females. Surnames is particularly fun because if you have someone who's got a modern surname like Beekman, for example, you can see some of the ancestors that that person might be related to. So really fun if you're giving a tour to someone who's got a last name like Lockerman's, because it will have tons of information on their family for sure. We even have information about occupations, ships, and ship journeys, which is about to be updated because some really wonderful new research has just been done on all of the ship journeys into and out of New Amsterdam. But you can see beginning in 1624, you can see the number of ships that landed. You can see which ship landed. In some cases, you know, you can see like this one, the Princess, which was found in a storm and wrecked. So there we go. There are objects, for example, like barn lanterns. Goodness, Nitin, I hope you can take a look at this while I'm shattering and see why we're suddenly getting the under maintenance note. We also have all kinds of documents in our encyclopedia. Many versions of the Castello plan are available here. The Van Laer manuscripts, some of those are here. We're beginning to add quite a number of document collections from the wonderful New Netherland Institute and the New York State Archives, who have given us permission to download and include almost the entirety of the Dutch manuscripts collections. So here you can see, hopefully, yes, a patent by Govert Lockermans, dated 1646. You can see he's buying a lot on Manhattan Island. There's a wonderful image of the original document, and almost as wonderful as the wonderful image, maybe more so, is this fabulous translation done by the wonderful Charlie Gearing, and references. And we've actually taken this document and started analyzing what was happening in this document. The party of the first part, party of the second part, their entity role, how the real estate transaction was taking place. And all of these are clickable if you're interested in doing research. And we have a link back out to the New York State Archives and the finding aid that this particular document belongs within. I know I'm speaking very fast. I wish that we were all here in person so that I could take a pause and ask if people had questions, but I'm sure that we'll do more questions at the end. The very last type of document that we have here is school age curricula, 4th grade, 7th grade, and 11th grade. We're very much hoping to expand this part of our website. So those of you who are either affiliated with a school or know someone who might be interested in helping to write additional curricula using this material, we'd be so happy to chat with them.
Toya, we did get just one question, so I'll throw it at you since you just mentioned that. And I'll remind our guests that we should put questions in the Q&A feature that's available to us. But this question was mentioned in the chat. Do you have population number of languages spoken in New Amsterdam?
So the most of the scholars tell us that there were approximately 17 languages spoken in New Amsterdam, pretty much right from the start. And what's super interesting about that is that there are many more languages than 17 spoken in New York City, but I think 17 is sort of like the big majority number of languages that are typically found in New York still. So it's pretty interesting that New York was an absolutely multicultural place long before it was New York. And we even know who some of those people are. If I go into the ancestors' mail, let's hope this works. Nope, we're still getting the maintenance. No, I have to warn you that we are, for whatever reason, we're still, we're in the part of phase 2, which is potentially causing a little bit of this problem. But so we have some folks from Congo, some folks that are from Turkey, some folks that are French represented, just even in this group of ancestors that's what's coming to the top of my head, besides Holland and England, right? But my understanding is approximately 17 different languages were spoken in New Amsterdam. And also the Dutch traders were very, very facile with languages, as the Dutch currently are. It wasn't unusual for people to be able to speak 5 or 6 languages, which is wonderful. So I hope that answers for you.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go on to, so the current public version of the mapping portion of this involves what we call the swipe, which allows you to see the satellite picture of Lower Manhattan and swipe across with one of several Castello plans. So the original Castello plan, the Stokes key to the Castello plan, the Legend of New Amsterdam, or the Dutch grants. Each of these can be chosen for the swipe. It takes a moment for them to load, obviously. Sorry. So here you can see the Dutch grants map. Here you can see the very original Castello plan, which is quite a beautiful, very ancient document. And Nitin has done an absolutely amazing job of lining up the streets, the canals, well, what were canals and is now are now streets, so that it's possible to really see where things were. And that's the key to the Castello plan in Stokes. This is what we've used to name and address the question of each tax lot. So here's block C, and you can see C2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. C7 is sort of our demo lot quite frequently because it's the one that we used. We had a lot of documentation available for that lot. And so we've used it as sort of proof of concept in what we're going to be doing for the larger part of phase 2. So phase 1 was actually creating this swipe that allows you to see both modern and old maps overlaid. And it also had the very beginnings of this explore function that would allow you to see a bunch of dots, each one representing a Castello plan tax lot. And you can see that you could click on it and see, that's C5. And what was there? House was there. And a link directly to the Encyclopedia, which would open in another screen. It's taking a moment for things to load here because my Wi-Fi is suddenly having that very slow moment.
We have those issues.
Yep, okay. In any case, it will get there by the time we get whatever the site.
Could I feel the question while
is over?
Could I feel the question while we have a pause? Because we've had a few come in. And I'm sorry, some of these will be, a little. We have one question, and I'll just remind our viewers.
Don't be sorry. Happy.
Our webinar attendees, so I may read these out of order, but I'll get to all of them. One person asked, "Is the ground floor of the homes, the ground floor of the homes has two sections? Can you tell us how the space was used?" So
well, I think that depended on the house, but for sure, there's always a hearth. There's always an indoor sort of fireplace hearth where you're doing your cooking. And often there were sort of cupboards that had beds in them off to one side or slightly above in the chimney areas that would keep you a little bit warmer. But how they were specifically arranged, each one house, that we don't really fully know. However, at the end of this, I'm going to refer you to a really cool presentation that's being given by the New Amsterdam History Center on Dutch colonial houses, March 9th, I think it is. So you'll have the link to that, and I'm sure people, Len Tantillo is speaking on that one, and another architect is speaking on that. I'll give you a lot of detail about it.
Okay, thanks. Why don't your page seems to load up? We'll have the questions will stay. Why don't you go back to your presentation, and I'll get to the rest of them later, and I will get to the rest of the questions.
No problem. Yeah, sure, of course. So the timeline was also sort of just a beta thing that we suddenly thought, well, it'd be kind of cool to see a timeline and see, what happens as the tax lots are created, right? So this was Knitton's very first attempt at it. And you can see this one dot was the sort of is C7, which was the proof of concept. And you can see that it changes color when there's actually a transaction that takes place. You see it turns green right here. So that's our way of knowing that there's a transaction for it. And you can click on it and you can see, okay, there's a tax lot event, a conveyance here. And you can, click into any of these, the joint owner, this might be, and of course I'm going to get the blue screen again. Oh my goodness, what an evening. So I promise this is going to work. It has been working for a while, but of course we're in the process of updating. All right, so, and you can also click into the encyclopedia here. So phase one really involved the beginnings of creating this, this map. Phase two, we're going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into phase two. And here it is. So this is quite different looking. And one of the nice things is that we've been able to combine the timeline, the slider, more maps, and best of all, Knitton has actually sort of laid out all of the Dutch grant lots. So let's take a look here. You can make changes here easily. You can click on and say, I want to see one Castello plan versus another. I want to see the satellite versus the Dutch grants map. I want to see the Stokes map because I'm very used to looking at that one. Oh, yes, but I think I would like to add some layers. So you can add the Dutch grants now. And you can take the time slider and watch them disappear before they were each created. And the Castello tax lots can also be included, and you can watch and see how they related to the Dutch grants. You'll see the time slider showing you the year that you're in. The grant lots here
You're going to want
is
to
our,
click on Dutch grants, by the way, Toya, on the right, on the bottom. That's the map that goes with the Dutch grants.
okay. So this area that we're working on, C7, you can see we are actually even showing the subdivision of that Dutch grant lot. So if I move back in time, you'll see that it's C7, C7-8, C9-10, right? So you can see it appear and you can see who owned it. And over here, we now have a scroll that allows you to see all kinds of information about it, including a description. As time moves forward, you can see these lot lines start appearing. And now this is now broken up into C7, C8, C9. And as you click on each of these, you'll get to see information about who was involved in that particular grant. So on the left-hand side, there's information. And here, I can see even more. As I slide the time slider forward, that eventually will be the case for all of these lots. Any lot that I click on here, I can see information about it, and you can see a start and end date for the ownership as we have it right now in the encyclopedia. Please keep in mind that the encyclopedia was really designed for the year 1660. And so the main information that we have about each of these lots relates to who was living in a particular tax lot or who owned a particular tax lot in the year 1660. Part of the phase 2 project will involve bringing in documents that go much earlier in time than 1660 and taking each one grant lot and painstakingly tracing all of the real estate transactions through time for that one tax lot. So you will eventually be able to see all of the transactions for that tax lot and all of the people who lived there through time. So we're going to look at, for just a moment, our demo tax lot, which is C7. And you'll see this dot pop up.
You might want to close everything else, all the other layers.
And you'll see that tax lot C7 here, we can see joint ownership through marriage at this time, 1662 to 1675. If I move this time slider, you can see those events change, right? So here's 1643 to 1659. As I move forward, here's another buyer in 1659. And as I move forward, here's another inheritor in 1660. And part of the fun here is that you should be able to click into who this person was. What does inheritance mean? There's actually an encyclopedia entry about inheritance. You can also see all other tax lot events, hopefully. In this case, for C7, Nitin has created this really wonderful, extremely detailed chart on everything that relates to lot C7, beginning in 1643 and working its way all the way through to 1675. Eventually, hopefully, years from now, as we continue to add additional information, we hope to be able to get all the way to the end of the Dutch Colonial Period for every single one of the tax lots. So that's a little bit about what's going on with the sneak peek on the new part of the mapping. We also have revisions planned for the encyclopedia. So in the encyclopedia right now, you can see that we have a couple of different document collections listed. One is the colonial patents and deeds, and the other is the Register of the Provincial Secretary. So there's probably 340 or so documents in this collection, of which we are not able to show you right now. We probably have about 17 of them in right now. So in the phase that Nitin's working on at the moment, we will definitely be adding more. Our goal for the end of phase 2 is to add all 300 or so of those documents. And to link up as many transactions as possible from that series of documents. Possibly we will also be adding the Provincial Secretary Register, but we're not sure yet. And there are many other document series that we wish to add to this collection that will enhance the map that you just saw, so that when you click on a particular lot, you'll be able to see all the transactions. So that the next thing that you should know, and I'm not sure whether or not this is going to work today, and we're going to search on, yeah, we're not going to get a good search result today.
I don't know what's going on, Toya. Like, it's working on my end, but
okay, well, we won't worry about that now.
one thing that might help is if you log in, but it should work anyway, but if you want.
Okay. So you can see, I can search for a particular person, like Govert Lockermans. And Govert's kind of a great example for this site. We even have sort of our picture of who we think he might have looked like. It's listed as a placeholder because we don't know what he looked like, but we thought he might look a bit severe somehow. Each person has an ID number. There are user tags related to that person. You can click in and see their his birth location. In this case, it'll show you the Wikipedia map. And you can see, in some cases, the birth date, the death date. His occupation was a brewer. So we have a great deal of information about what brewers did, and even a recent publication on brewing and food. And then you can see his marriages, who he married, these two ladies, and all kinds of notes about him. We even link out to the New York City Municipal Archives, and in some cases we link out to the New York State Archives or the archives of the city of Amsterdam. There are copious biographical notes about Govert in particular, and even related documents here, articles that you can, and we'll see if this works.
My name is Govert Lockermans. I am a merchant here in Amsterdam History Center.
So that's an audio file. I'm not entirely sure whether or not you guys are able to hear that online, but certainly when you're listening yourself, you can hear audio files. There are articles, and in some cases videos about some of these people. So depending on the, oh good. So depending the person, there can be a great deal of information or hardly any. And this What Links Here button, when it's working well, will show you all kinds of everything in the encyclopedia that links to that person. And that's true of virtually any entry in the encyclopedia. If you're looking at a tax lot, you click on What Links Here, you'll see everything that links to that tax lot. If you're looking at a document and you click on What Links Here, you'll see everything that connects to that document. So it's kind of gives you sort of free range to do a great deal of research. And in many cases, and all of these are, have a link that you can go to and see. In this case, here's 1633, the ship journey. And this is when Govert arrived in New Amsterdam. He arrived on this particular ship. So
that's incredible detail. Oh, thanks.
Yes, it's super fun, right? It's super fun. And this search content button normally works just perfectly. But of course today, because I'm giving a demo, I've somehow wandered into the life of the blue screen as does tend to happen.
Could we field some questions now? Maybe that would be a better way. And I mean, I know it's very fascinating for me and for myself and for several of our members. I'm sure many of them will be playing with this website or are doing it now.
I hope so.
And they'll be able to explore it. I'll just go through some of the questions that have come up. Is the Dutch presence in any of the other boroughs covered? Is this a Manhattan only? That's the question from Wesley Greenbaum.
So what a great question. At the moment, this is only Manhattan, but the plan is to expand not just out to the boroughs. We want to expand all the way north past Albany, out into Connecticut, south into New Jersey. We want to cover the entire Dutch colonial map in the long run. It takes time and funding to do this work. So a little patience, please, and know that we do want to include, Wyckoff House. Brooklyn is full of all kinds of amazing locations that we'd love to include.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Where did the Chapardi Jews who came from Brazil live, and what were their occupations? Do you have information about that?
So the story of Asser Levy and the ship in 1654 that arrived carrying in its hold quite a number of Sephardic Jews that were coming from Brazil. It landed, let's see if I can show you on the map. So it landed at the tip of Lower Manhattan, and for quite some time, they weren't permitted to disembark. When they finally were permitted to disembark, they would have been approximately over here. And they sort of created almost like a little refugee camp for them there. Their occupations, Asser Levy is the most famous person associated with the Sephardic Jews who came on board that ship, and he was the first ever kosher butcher in New Amsterdam, and he stayed on, and he's a very famous character because he's very much involved with the Dutch Remonstrance letters, where he is demanding the rights of the burger rights for Jews in New Amsterdam and the right to serve to protect the city and to be full citizens. And he stayed his whole life there. And we actually know a great deal about him because he left behind a very detailed will and inventory of his household, which was really super interesting. Of the other members of that Sephardic group, I'm sure there are scholars who have much more detail about that than I do.
Yes, indeed.
By the way,
There's a lot of
Toya,
interest in it. Oh,
I got
sorry,
the website
Nisha?
working again. So just so you know, it's working fine.
Great.
Oh, thanks. Just another question from Dave Gardner. Are you going to depict non-residential objects like the gibbet and the windmill? I don't know what a gibbet is, but I think I'm going to learn.
Is he perhaps, so the listing of objects that are here, I have things like beaver pelts, butter churns, clay pipes, clogs.
I think he's referring to, if I understand correctly, he's referring to items that are not in homes, right? The windmill is a famous example, right?
Sure, and they will be added. I mean, we have different kinds of ships here, yachts, merchant ships. There are pistols, pails, you know, I even have units of measure so that you can understand the difference between Dutch measurement and our current measurement. More can be added at any time. Anyone who would like to send me information for addition to the encyclopedia is very welcome to do so.
Wow.
Happy to add it.
Okay.
I'm happy to.
A very simple question from Tony DeSanti. What is the approximate population in 1660? And we like to give these kinds of figures on our tours all the time.
I'm going to say it's, I'm going to defer to Firth Fabend on that one. She probably knows better than I, but I guess probably maybe 1,500, 2,000 people, something like that. That's a guess. I don't know for sure.
Just a more broader question about the use of this website. Kevin Lawrence asked, is there any indication how users are most frequently using this site? Like, is it primarily for educational purposes? Are there people doing genealogical research, historic research? What are your primary, visitors, if you have any information about that?
I don't really know. Nitin, have we done Google Analytics on this site? I don't even know that we've done Google Analytics on the site.
Yeah, we have. Not very many people visit the site yet. To be honest, it's because we've been working on it so much. We haven't shown it to the world. So I think a lot of people would be interested in it, hopefully in the thousands. So.
Sure. I do get emails from people who are doing genealogical research regularly saying, hey, I hit this site and, do you have information about my great, whatever, great grandfather or grandmother? And I will often point them to a particular article in the encyclopedia. So I do get a lot of genealogists, that's true. I'm one of the people who answers the info at email for New Amsterdam History Center. So I talk to genealogists probably 2-3 times a month.
Okay, I'm gonna ask, this one really gets into the weeds of mapping, but I like this kind of question. Street address numbers. Yeah, so the street address numbers typically increase from south to north. And that's true today. A major exception is Broad Street. The number 1 is approximately at what is now Federal Hall at Wall Street, and the street address numbers are going south to the Battery. You know the reason for this? I'll go ahead, Newton.
I wouldn't know, but specifically, but street numbers change all the time. That's not a good answer, but. Historically, yeah. I mean, when they start reordering things, it has to all align in a larger context of a city. So
certainly in the period in which Nitin and I are working, the only numbers that are here because of this scholar named Stokes in the 19th century who assigned numbers to a map. In the Dutch period, there were no numbers here. There were
Okay.
no numbers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, I mean, the numbers obviously could have come from later periods. I think I've covered the questions for now. People have feel free to add more. Thanks everybody for questions. Do you have we still have a few minutes left. I think we would like to finish in
Yeah.
about 5 minutes. So anything else, and
Okay.
definitely leave us with your contact, all the useful website, website URLs and email addresses and so forth.
Yes.
Can I show a few things?
Yes. So
Yes, that would be, I'm sorry, I think that is
What
possible.
was Toya?
Pardon me.
Sorry, Toya.
there's, yeah. So I just want to make sure I get a plug in here for March 9th from the New Amsterdam History Center. We have an event online about the evolving house style in America, the Dutch house. So Len Tentillo, the very famous painter and architect, and Jeroen van der Herk, the architectural historian, will be speaking, and Robert Snyder is the moderator. And so there's a link here for it, and if you prefer, you can go directly to our site, and you'll see here's the event on the site, and you can register and join us for that. I know that Ina and Esme, who've worked very hard on this, you'll probably find it very interesting, especially for those people who are asking questions about the interiors of those houses.
Yes, one of our and one of our members has posted that link in our chat, so people our attendees can go directly to it now. That's fascinating. Neaton, did you want to show us something? Can we?
Yeah, if you can share my screen.
Right. Michael, are you able to give him that ability?
I could maybe request it.
This is something Emma would have to help out with.
I think.
Okay. Okay, but maybe this isn't.
It's probably, people have had a chance to see what we've got.
Okay.
And
Yeah. I mean, look.
You can try it now. I changed one setting. Try it now. See if you can share your screen.
Oh. I needed to click the button. Okay.
There we go. Great.
Do you all see this?
Yes.
Yes, we see it.
So this is what the site now, what we're demoing or what we're testing out is this is what it looks like on mobile. And so I actually went to the financial district, which is New Amsterdam historically. And I walked around and actually saw kind of what I was, if you go back and forth, like this is Bowling Green here. And you can go to the edge of the water or on Pearl Street here and see, or on Broad Street, it was a canal. You can go to Pearl and Canal here and kind of see, what it might have looked like. It was a really, really amazing experience, actually. I hadn't done that before, but yeah, so this is what it looks on mobile. This is a Google Pixel, and you can use your thumb here and you can slide the time as well. You can click here. I guess we have this demo tax slot, and then you can click this button in the upper left. And so where are we at? I'm using my thumb now on my screen. Yeah, so demo tax slot. Am I not seeing this dot? Okay, well, anyway, you can click on features, and this might work. I'm just trying to do this quickly, but so like if you clicked on one of these with your thumb, this is what would pop up. You can kind of explore the information, and this would be more advanced, but now that there is augmented reality, like when you use Zoom, you can see all sorts of funny faces and things like that. If you've ever done that, you can, shortly there'll be something where you can actually do virtual tours of a place. So this is an example. Some people are testing this in New York, where you can actually hold up your phone and then it'll show you the environment in front of you, how it was at that time. So that's like an extreme, like future, but it is some technology that's available that we could develop at some point. So that would be, this all would be very helpful for tour guides. I just thought I'd share all that.
Thank you, Nitin. That's so nice. It's so great to see everything start to be ready for mobile. So many of our researchers had just used this sort of at home, but for the tour guides who are going to sort of be out and about, I think it'll be really helpful as we make it ever more mobile friendly.
Right.
John, you're muted.
Pardon me, I'm always have that problem too.
I know.
We've got a handful of people who, we got a handful of more questions and we'd like to wrap it up soon. So if we could just get a couple more in. And I'm just fumbling because there were questions so this is a question from Mel Wasserman. Geographically, what are the limits of the streets that have been included on the maps?
That would be,
Plan.
oh, sorry, Toya, you can.
This is it. Right here. Pretty much from the bottom of Manhattan up through West Wall Street is what we have so far. Pretty much. Little bit of overlap from there, but not much more.
Okay. I think unless there's anything else you really want to show us about the site. I mean, this has just been incredibly fascinating. Again, I can't emphasize that enough. It just, I'll definitely be on this after this meeting. But I think you've already shared us your contact details, but maybe give us that one more time. And
Sure.
Thank you so much for giving us this fascinating presentation.
Absolutely. It was our great pleasure to get the chance to show you what we do. You can see our contact information is up here, and I've also sent a PDF to Emma so that she can send it out to everybody who's attended. If you need to get in touch with us, we're really happy to talk to you. And I do hope that you think about joining for the March 9th event. I think it's going to be super interesting for people who are interested in New York City architecture.
And you host regular events, right? That's not just.
Yes, yes. The New Amsterdam History Center usually does 3 or 4 events a year at least, sometimes more. And they're on all kinds of really fascinating subjects, all of which relate to the history of New Amsterdam, which is New York.
Finally, do we access you only online, or in non-pandemic times, is there a brick and mortar way we can meet you guys, or is
there's no brick and mortar.
Okay.
We were way ahead of the pandemic. The New Amsterdam History Center began as an online only way of sharing information.
Okay. Again, Toya Dubin and Nitin Gadia, I hope I got your names reasonably correct. Again, thank you so much.
Okay.
You're welcome to stay online. I'm going to hand over to Mike Morgenthau, who will continue.
Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Yep, Toya and Nitin, thank you so much both for a fascinating presentation, and I think you absolutely hit the perfect audience for what you guys are have put together here, and we'll be following anxiously along with as the program develops, and I'm sure many people on this webinar are going to be utilizing the technology to build better tours and provide better information to their guests. So thank you guys so much. As John said, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. I'm going to change both of you guys to attendees. So thank you both so much for your time. We encourage you to stay if you so desire. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike Morgenthau. I'm one of the vice presidents of the Guides Association. I'm stepping in for our president, Emma Guest-Gonzalez, who's a little under the weather, and we wish her a speedy recovery. Hope she feels better. The other thing I want to mention, I do apologize. There was a slight error in the first ballot that was sent out for tonight's industry partners vote, which is for Wave Hill. I have sent out a second email, which is a lot less fancy. It basically has a couple of lines of text and a link that'll take you to the page where you can vote directly. Only about 12 people had voted via the first email, and we'll ask those of you who did vote in the first email if you can use that second email, that link to vote for Wave Hill, yes or no, for the industry partner vote tonight. That would be great. You're only allowed to vote once in each of these polls, so it's not like there's any ballot stuffing or anything going on with that. So I do apologize for any mistakes, any inconvenience with that, but please, if you have a chance, check out the second email, which went out about 5 minutes ago, and click on the link to get to the ballot for Wave Hill for tonight. And with that, it is time for us to move along to our committee reports. And first up for the committee reports will be the awards committee. And that means that it is the chair of the awards committee, Matt Baker, who received great congratulations earlier. And I'll just throw my congratulations as well. Matt, you and your team at the awards committee did a fabulous job transitioning to the online platform this year. And you all deserve lots and lots of congratulations. Everybody really enjoyed it. So thank you so much. And the floor is yours, Matt.
Thank you so much, Michael. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, thank you. It was a funny thing, while 7 years is not a long time as award shows tend to go, it's certainly more than 1 year. And a lot of the GANYC Apple Awards this year felt like we were back at square one, the way we were in 2015 when we had no idea whether there would ever be a second annual GANYC Apple Awards, simply because of the conditions under which we did it. And there had been, a season's worth of discussion and debate, can we even have the awards under the current conditions of the world? Should we even have the awards under the conditions of the world, etc.? And we weathered the storm and we have the awards, and they have gotten almost universally good feedback. We did them online on Livestorm, and they went almost perfectly, not quite. And I do want to address the one big problem we had, to apologize for it, because unfortunately I still have no idea exactly why the thing that went wrong. But it looked like somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15% of the attendees had trouble getting into the room. Eventbrite telling them they weren't registered when they were, and this included people with paid tickets. So 10 to 15 doesn't sound like a lot, but for an event that has, 240 attendees, that's between 24 and 36 people. To me, that feels like a lot. And so I am very sorry about that. And it is one of the things we are going to be looking at in the future if we do it online again, is to see how we can address that. I am not very technically savvy, so I need to make sure that I have people who are technically savvy on my committee who are also doing that, and taking care of that sort of thing in case any such issues come up again. With that in mind, I do want to offer a big shout out and a big thanks to committee member Jeremy Wilcox, who did troubleshoot to the degree that he was able with people who were reporting trouble getting into the room. All of that said, everything else went really, really well. And we have received, well, Emma showed earlier the outpouring of great publicity we've been getting from the winners. But I also want to say something about the wonderful publicity and the just, good sportsmanship that we've been getting from those who were nominated and didn't win. Those of you who watched the awards, whether live or on YouTube, have seen, it's my voice doing the off-screen announcements of, thus and such is this nominee's third nomination and first win. The Met was their third nomination. It was their first win. Museum of the Chinese in America, it was their third nomination and first win. Gotham Center, it was their second. Fiona Davis, it was her second. And they were all wonderful and they were all there, which was great. But there were other people who were getting repeat nominations, like Dean Karayanis of the History Authors Show, which was nominated for podcast. Second nomination, second loss. And he has been absolutely bubbling with enthusiasm over the awards. The fact that he didn't win has obviously not bothered him at all. He's been, posting big congratulations to Malachi McCourt for his lifetime achievements. He's been, posting congratulations to us, and every single thing I'm seeing has our name on it. Emma showed on her screen the Gotham Center publicity. One thing she didn't happen to have that I've seen is that on Gotham Center's on their their Facebook page, they have their top post right now says, drop everything and drop everything and listen to this. And it's their winning podcast. And it's an enormous picture of the GANYC logo for all to see. It's really, really terrific. I must shout out to my deputy chair, Bob Gelber, who keeps me sane through everything, and who is also our primary liaison with Atlantic Trophy, which designs and delivers the Apple Awards. Also, I mentioned Jeremy, of course, Kevin Fitzpatrick, who got us Malachi McCourt, and also came to our rescue with Don Spiro when one of our presenters, Rose Callahan, came down with COVID as well. Naturally, we wish Rose the best. We're looking forward to working with her, and hopefully we'll get to work with her in the future. A big shout out to GANYC President Emma Guest-Cancelas, who was our contact not only with Bill Ritter, our fabulous host, but with Jeff Spurgeon, who presented the Radio and Podcast Award. Big shout out to Robin Garr, who handled the ads and sponsorships. And yes, the person who I wish had been mentioned earlier, and I mentioned her in the chat, the person who, to my mind, was truly the artistic soul of the awards this year is Deborah Blau. Why do I say that? Deborah, it's her first year on the committee, first of all. She did some auxiliary help for us last year, and I said, heavens, I want you on the committee. And she designed the slides with all of the nominees lists and the winners' names and that gorgeous picture of the trophy, all, in bronze and blue and things like that. And, especially when you're entirely online and entirely on video, that is the show. And I say this with all respect in the world to those who did our graphics for the live shows in years past. They did a wonderful job, but I really, truly felt that Deborah's work, brought us to the next level in the art of the show. Deborah and I also happen to be extremely different people, and we tend to concentrate on different things. And I felt that made us a really great team because each one of us sort of covered the other's weak spots. I can't count the number of conversations between us where one of us wound up saying, I never would have thought of that. And I thought that makes for a great team. So I apologize to other committee members, Susan Birnbaum, Megan Murad. I'm probably forgetting someone. I apologize. I assure you it's no snub intended. But everyone really stepped up this year to work under conditions that were not merely new, but uncertain as we felt in our first year. And we had in our audience, we had, the president of the San Diego Guides Association, the president of the Las Vegas Guides Association, the president of the National Federation of Tourist Guide Associations, the president of the World Federation of Tourist Guide Associations. We had, South Africa was in the house. We had, a lady from Cape Town is the, president of the WFTGA. She was watching live. It reached an audience unlike any other, and it's permanent. And I thank you, Jeremy, for posting the link. It is, it feels to me like a potential game changer for the GANYC Apple Awards. We all love the live event. There's no way of replacing the energy of a live event, but there is some value in the online event that I think everyone really kind of discovered this year. And we're very interested in exploring the potential future of that. I think that's all I've got.
That's great. Thank you, Matt. And thank you again to everybody who Matt shouted out to as members of the committee, and those who weren't named as well, and everybody who had a role in that great event that gives GANYC such a wonderful profile and wonderful PR value. So I'm going to change Matt back to an attendee, and next up we have the Education Committee, and that's going to be Nina Mende, and I'm going to make you a panelist right now. So Nina, is Nina there? There she is. Okay, great. Nina, your camera and your video are both off at the moment.
appear. Let me see if it's
Okay, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
okay. Oh, here I go. I'm tapping on.
There you are. Oh, okay. Yep,
Okay.
we can see you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So we're not yet at, I understand from the board, we're getting reports that we're not doing in-person FAMs yet. They're going to have a meeting on March 15th, but we have some wonderful virtual FAMs coming up. And the first one, I don't know about John. John Semlak was going to do a taste of borscht, the Slavic East Village. And John, you can chime in later and tell us if that's going to be virtual or in person. I wasn't sure. But March 23rd, Lee Hallingby will be doing her Audubon mural project as a virtual tour. And I think she's going to be doing it for one of the other organizations where it's going to be a paying gig for her. So she's sharing that for free with GANYC members. So we really appreciate it. And update March 25th, we celebrated anniversary as often as we can. Given the pandemic last year, we weren't able to do it. And this year, we will probably have some kind of virtual presentation of the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire Memorial Tour. And I know Robin Garr and I think Kevin Fitzpatrick might join in. And so we're looking forward to that. We weren't sure if it was going to be in person or not on, but it looks like at least it'll be a virtual, a short virtual presentation. So stay tuned for that. We'll be getting information. On that, I just want to say that congratulations to this year's GANYC Apple Award winners. And we have started an honorary member list, and we've added, and every year we add the guiding spirit, whoever won, because that is a tour guide who has shared knowledge with us. And this year's guiding spirit award was Marta Cooper, so she's now an honorary member of the education committee. We have a whole list of names. It's kind of an interesting going back in history, who was a former ed chair, and we put them in our Hall of Fame. And also our photography winner, who you all know, who's a tour guide, who's given tours for the education committee. AJ Stevens is an honorary member, and Eric K. Washington, who has also given tours for GANYC. He won the GANYC Apple Award nonfiction, so he's now an honorary member. So we're happy to put him in our long roster. And I want to just thank Bob for getting the guest speaker tonight. And we do, I believe April is still open. We're starting to book up really fast. So if you have any ideas for guest speakers, education, you can contact the education committee, GANYC.org, or you can also contact the board and they'll relay it to us. And we also keep an index of past tours with our minutes, education minutes. So if you're looking for someone who's expert in a field, you know, we have a whole list of GANYC members who've done tours for us, and you might want to check, you know, contact them if you're interested in taking a tour, or a virtual tour with them, or eventually an in-person tour with them as well. And one more thing, I don't know if Kevin Lawrence does a book club the last Sunday in the month. I don't know if he's resuming that, or but you stay tuned to that. He might want to say something. And I just want to thank just give a shout out to all the education core members: Bob Gelber, Jeremy Wilcox, John Semlak, Kevin Lawrence, Lisa Puccio, Minna Sharp, Susan Birnbaum. And thanks for the insights that Maggie Brown, Kip Garrett, and Andrea Coyle Emeritus have given us. So anyway, thanks for that.
Great. Thank you so much, Nita, my neighbor who I ran into last week buying Hamantaschen down on Grand Street. So happy Purim belated to everybody who might have celebrated. So thank you so much, Nina, and we'll move you off the screen here. Okay, next up we have the Government Relations Committee. Christina Lombardi, the chair, is not available, so pinch hitting for her. Patrick Casey, one of GANYC's great secretaries, is going to deliver the committee report. So Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that lovely introduction. No, I'm not Christine Lombardi. I'll just play her on television tonight. The Government Relations Committee met last January 15th, joint video conference with the Transit Workers Union Local 100. This is regarding the progress of Initiative 289A. The City Council ruled that if passed would ensure a guide's presence on a double-decker bus. Now, the bill at this point has enough votes in City Council to pass, though it would not be a veto-proof vote. But the legal department of the New York City Council raised a constitutional issue. The wording of the law of 289A would create a protected class of worker. That is to say, only guides could be that safety person on a bus. And this would be in violation of the Constitution. In response to that, the TWU's solution would be to support the vague language used to pass such a bill, and that they would worry about getting the guide wording changed at a later date. This clearly is, Christine spoke with the TWU. In our rebuttal, we made it clear that while it is well and good to be optimistic, GANYC cannot support a bill that does not protect tour guides specifically. There's a consensus of the committee that continued cooperation with TWU may prove to be a hindrance in the furtherance of our goal as guides and City Council protection. It is the plan of the committee to meet again this month to discuss how to circumvent the TWU without attracting their ire. Partnering with TWU is huge. That is an accomplishment that we can't take anything away from. It is good, though our goals diverged. We'll continue to keep everyone informed as to how 289A is making its way through council. I know that Christine would want to thank every member of the GANYC community that reached out to their city council representatives. We did secure the votes to pass, but we just couldn't get it out of committee. And with the changeover in the city council with new elections, we're not going to have that veto-proof majority. But the work is solid, and know that we will be reaching out to you again to ensure we have the votes for 289A. Thank you. That is the Government Relations Report. And any questions, of course, we're open.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. Appreciate you stepping in for Christina in that regard. So the next item up for bid, so to speak, is myself for the Industry Relations Committee report. So here we go. I want to thank all of the committee. Oh, before I do that, the awards committee wanted to shout out one more committee member who was instrumental in securing some of the presenters, and that's Gary Dennis. So thank you, Mr. Dennis, if you're on the webinar, or even if you're not, thank you so much. So industry relations, we had our last committee meeting, or most recent committee meeting last week, and thank you to everybody who took the time to attend. We do have our regularly scheduled committee meetings the fourth Thursday of every month from 11 to 1. Usually we don't go that long, but that's what it's scheduled for. So if anybody would like to join the committee, just shoot us an email at industryrelations@ganyc.org. So just a couple of things to discuss tonight. We mentioned at the last meeting that we are planning a big event for the first week of May called Guide Week. Big thanks to Mitch Bach and Emma, our president, for helping out on this. And we continue to develop ideas and are starting to put together the agenda and the sessions and the panelists and things like that. We did bring in I believe she's a former GANYC member by the name of Nikki Padilla, who's a New Yorker. She lives in Astoria, licensed tour guide, and she's worked for many years as a tour guide trainer all around the world, specifically for Intrepid Urban Adventures, although I don't think they're called that anymore. So she's been helping us out quite a bit as well. But we still want to hear from you guys. We did post this a couple times on the GANYC Facebook group asking for suggestions on the types of panels you'd like to see and even presenters you might like to see. So feel free to email me about that if you have specific requests. We're going to have more information about all this within the next 2 weeks. I would say probably by St. Patrick's Day, you'll see a more definitive program and website and things like that. We do have the URL guideweek.org. That will kind of be the hub for everything. There's nothing there right now, so you don't have to go searching for it, but that's going to be kind of where everything lives for Guide Week, including the presentations and including the job fair stuff, which will be on day 3 of Guide Week as we're planning it right now. We will also need some volunteers to help us out with this virtual event, both to serve as facilitators and moderators for the different panels and things like that. So if anybody is interested in volunteering to help out, let us know if you're interested, and we'll come to you first when we're looking for help with that. And I think that's about it. I'm sorry I don't have more to share with you tonight. As you can imagine, these things come together a little bit more slowly than we sometimes anticipate, but just stay tuned. Certainly once we have everything lined up and ready to go, we will not be shy about sharing the information with all of you. So stay tuned for that. The second thing I want to share is I'm actually going to share my screen right now. It's about our industry partner program. Can you all see the screen share right now, my website? I mean, my web browser? Okay, cool. So this is the current industry partner page. And it's basically looked like this since we started the industry partner program. But we've been working for a few months on updating this page, and it's not live yet, but basically all the parameters are there, and I just wanted to share with you kind of the update. So this is what it is going to look like when it launches. Sorry, let me go back up to the top of the page. So just walk you guys through this real quick. So before there was a drop-down menu to look at all the categories. Now we have radio buttons, so it's very easy for anyone to come and see what types of industry partners we have. You also will be able to search by theme or name or things like that. Here is a big innovation that we are coming up with. This has been something that members have been asking about for for several years. We now have the ability to share the special offers from GANYC industry partners with you. So if you come to the site and you want to just see the offers from the industry partners, you could just click on that button. And if you scan down, I'll get to the map in a second, you can see this is the company right now that is offering a special offer to GANYC industry members. So that is not a requirement by any stretch, but we will hopefully be populating that a little bit more. Secondly, we added a map feature. And the reason we did this was, this is going to focus, by the way, on our partners who are in the New York metropolitan area. We do get some technology companies and others from all across the world. But the map feature here is that when you're planning your tours, you can go and see who our industry partners are. If you're planning a tour, let's say in downtown Manhattan, you can look to see who our industry partners are down there and hopefully start to patronize them. Also in a pinch, if you're out with a group on the street and, oh my God, my restaurant reservation just canceled or they had a fire, who else in the neighborhood is a GANYC industry partner? We'll be able to look that up quickly. And in theory, they'll know who we are from GANYC and will help you out as best they can. So right now, we don't have that many partners in the system. There's only about 20. As this program continues to grow, this will be a very valuable tool, we think. Also, if you click on the map here, you will get the name of the institution, the industry partner. And if you click on them, they will go to their industry partner profile. I'm not going to do that right now for the Met because there's nothing on their profile yet. We are right now transitioning over from the old model, the old page to the new page, basically copying and pasting all the information from each of these companies' wild apricot profiles. But I just want to show you one that we have updated. It's Moxie, the financial services company. So you'll see here, rather than just having, as you saw on the old page, just the name and the contact information, there will be a name and a description of what this company or this industry partner does. And then when you click on their profile, we'll just scan down here. So all of this will be visible to the public so far. So this explains who they are, a little bit more detail, special offers available to the public. That's not for the GANYC members, that's for anybody. So you don't have to be logged into GANYC to see that, but we're also hoping to foster a bit of a dialogue between the industry partners. So perhaps that's where they'll be able to promote themselves to one another. You could see the website, also the social media tags. Moxie only has Facebook and Instagram, but we are going to, we also have TikTok and Twitter available as well, if any of our industry partners have that. you can see a specific map for this industry partner. And if we happen to get a chain, like we had Potbelly for a few years or something like that, they do have the ability to enter more than one address to show up on the map. And then last but not least, down below in this gray box, this is where you have to be logged into your GANYC profile in order to see this information. And that's two items. One, the point of contact at these companies. So let's say you want to book a group into a restaurant, you'll know exactly who to speak to. And then this is also where that special offer specifically for GANYC members will go. So there'll kind of be two levels of offers, one for the public, you know, hey, we're doing a Valentine's Day special, and one specifically for GANYC members designed for you to utilize as you're planning and conducting your tours. So we think this is a big step forward. We are, like I said, we're transitioning everything over from the new system, from the old system to the new system. Should be fixed in about a week or so. And then once we do that, we'll be able to go out and start soliciting both old members who lapsed and new members potentially to really make this a robust program that'll help with the recovery here in New York City. So hopefully you guys will have a chance to utilize that. And it's only going to be a successful program if you utilize our industry partners. So I will stress to one and all, as we start touring once again, please, whenever possible, try to utilize our industry partners. And of course, let them know that GANYC sent you. So, or that you are a GANYC member and you're utilizing that as an industry partner. So there will be more coming. We're talking about developing a business-to-business Facebook page where the partners and the GANYC guides can all interact with one another. We're looking at redesigning the decal. And thanks to our committee member, Heidi Benedict, who came up with a great idea to have a QR code in that decal so people can scan and find out all about GANYC. And there are a couple other things that are coming down the pike that we hope to introduce now that we got kind of the core out of the way that's going to enable us to build a better program. And then just one last thing, I know I'm almost out of time. I just want to mention that Harvey Davidson, who started this committee and certainly does so much for GANYC, he has been appointed for another 3-year term to represent GANYC as an ex officio member on the board of NYC and Company. NYC and Company, our relationship with them is better than it has been certainly during my time at GANYC, and that's due in large part to Harvey's presence on the board and just his continued evangelism on behalf of GANYC and all of our members. So I just want to say on behalf of GANYC and the board and everybody else, Harvey, congratulations, thank you, keep it up. We all really appreciate all of your efforts, and I know you'll be speaking for us at all NYC and Company board meetings. So with that, I think my report is done. So now I will call up to the stage the chair of our membership committee, Derek Chan. So Derek, you should be popping up here in just a second. There you are, Derek. The floor is yours. I think you're on mute right now. There you go. So Derek, take it away.
Hello, everybody. It's Derek Chan, your membership committee chair. And first of all, I just want to extend a special welcome to all of our first-time viewers. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And I also want to extend a special welcome to all of our regular viewers. We're also glad that that you're here, whether you're wherever you happen to be in the world, and whether you're a member or not a member. And if you're not a member and are interested in becoming one, it's very easy to do so. In the current state of things, everything's online. You can just visit ganyc.org/membership for all the information about that, or you can also reach out to me and the membership committee. You can send an email to membership@ganyc.org. And I do want to recognize our 2 newest members. We had 2 new provisional members, Kyle Potter and Harvey Simon, so welcome. We also had a new full member, Adam Guy, so welcome as a new full member. That brings our current active GANYC membership to 303. And also, as a reminder to all of our existing members, you can view all the full list of benefits and resources that are available to you as a member online at ganyc.org/benefits. It has information such as the link to purchase liability insurance, the GANYC Guide name badge, the one that I'm wearing, links to the digital library, also links to the award show replay, and so much more. So ganyc.org/benefits. I see Jeremy just put into the chat. So you can take a look there. You do have to be signed in, so just to know about that. And as I mentioned, if you do have any questions for me or for the committee, just reach out membership@ganyc.org. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you so much, Derek. Appreciate it. And welcome to our new provisional members and to Adam, our newest full member. So let me just bounce Derek out of being a presenter. Great. So that covers all of our standing committees, but we have one more report tonight, and that is again from Patrick Casey, who is going to update us on the work of the very important Health and Safety Task Force. So Patrick, take it away.
Thank you so much, Michael. Yes, I'm back. And let's see if I can share my screen here. What are we doing? All righty. So yes, we did create this document several months ago, and over the past few months, there have been some changes in the COVID landscape. One thing, and we met to update, to clean up some links, to make sure the information was as current as possible. From the very start, I do want to deal with a piece of misinformation that was sort of floating out there in the social media, that GANYC somehow created procedures and protocols all on its own. We didn't. The committee, pulled information from the CDC, from the New York State Department of Health, and from New York City Health, and we looked specifically for health and safety guidance that pertained to guides to the tourism industry, and we incorporated all of that intel into these documents to, in effect, make it one-stop shopping for our guides, to provide guidance to guides when they're ready to get back to work, and to provide guidance and communication to guests as they come back and visit our city. And I'll go through each of the 3 pages. There are 3 pages, so that it could be broken up in a bite-sized manner. The first page, of course, is information to the guests. We are in partnership with NYC and Company. So yes, we are sporting their lovely turquoise logo, but there it is. I do find it prescient that when they developed this, they did right away say, wear masks, which we are now being advised to wear 2 of these days as we deal with variants. This page will describe the information that guides should be ready to convey to guests and how we expect guests to behave on the tour. A tourist who feels safe is a tourist who's going to take a tour. So when they are made aware that they also have a part in the safety of a tour, they're going to be more inclined to feel comfortable with you. There are still New York State travel advisories. We've provided a link. The quarantine issues are going to diminish as vaccinations take over. As the state updates that, this link will be updated. We have a boilerplate form of a disclaimer that we recommend that the guides get out to all of their guests. The fact is, it's a highly transmittable disease with serious consequences. It cannot be avoided. If you breathe, you run the risk of becoming infected with COVID-19. Guests should know that as they go into it. That's the page for the guests. Second page is information specific to guides. And again, all in New York. This is indexed. These links are active to move you through the document. New York tourism is opening in phases. These are the 3 most popular codes for the New York Forward webpage. It gives guides an opportunity to see what aspect of tourism, their specialty in tourism, at what phase that is in reopening. We're very aware that we have not actually gotten out and taken tours in months, so there are reminders to treat your tours as they're new. Be aware that your paths may have to change, as some areas still have barricades up around either police stations or vaccination sites. Again, more information for the guests before the tour starts, reminding them of safety protocols, keeping everything as contactless as possible. We are always, every activity in a COVID world is still 6 feet apart and with masks. Now, 2 masks have come into play because of the variants. So we show you how to wear 2 masks. The 2 mask thing you'll note describes a disposable and a face covering. Your disposable goes on first, then your cloth face covering or mask. By the way, the phrasing face coverings is beginning to fall out of favor. Masks is now the prevailing word. And let's bring the page back up. There we go. By the way, for those who are wearing only surgical masks and no cloth masks, do not double up on surgical masks. They're not designed to provide a tight fit if you double up. And if you're wearing an N95 or a KN95, do not double up with two of those, just wear one. You're wearing one N95, don't double up with a surgical mask. You'll get a lousy fit and you'll be increasing your risks. Again, more information for guides. Yes, now with masks, of course, difficulty in being heard. The Education Committee did hold a PDF exploring the technology of using your phone as a method of communicating with your guests. That PDP is still available to you to view in GANYC's virtual library on our resources pages. And we have included a list with links for those of you who wish to explore some of this technology. Again, contactless whenever possible, tipping, contactless tipping applications. What to do when you may or may not have a sick guest. And the first thing we recommend is don't panic. If everyone has been observing social distancing and wearing masks, the likelihood of anyone being infected is slim. But know, if you're working on your own independently, have a plan for when you may have to deal with a sick guest. And if you're working for an operator, know your operator's plan if you have a sick guest. Know that resources of New York City are available to out-of-town visitors with a phone call, 311. Contact tracing. My wife is working as a contact tracer. You may get that phone call. Somebody on your tour, someone gave your name and contact information to New York City Department of Health because they tested positive. You should keep records of participants in your tours for at least 30 days. Restaurants are expanding, so we included some information about the expanding restaurant scene in New York, 25% to start, then it'll go to 35%. Again, more information about the advisory. And finally, the third page. Now, the third page does have some GANYC ideas about health, about safety, because we want guides to think about what they're going to look for from their employer to safely re-enter the workplace. We're a trade association. We cannot demand that tour operators act and perform in a certain way, but we can certainly make suggestions, and guides are their own best advocates for their own health, their own safety, and the health and safety of their guests. And those are the highlights that I did want to hit up with, that we haven't, we've updated as much as possible. There is some bus and boat limitations that have been put up. And again, you'll find those on the New York Forward using the specialty links in the New York Forward site. Generally, it's about operating a vehicle or vessel operating with people being able to maintain 6 feet apart, or 50 to 35% of capacity, whichever is less. Again, we're still a bit away from this, but let's keep these numbers in place because we might see things begin to move more quickly as the percentage of our population that is vaccinated begins to rise. A word of caution, of course, while vaccines are starting to move up, we're dealing with the variants, and New York's positivity and hospitalization rates are actually plateauing. They're not going up much, they're not going down much. So a word to the wise, don't get cocky, keep that mask on, stay 6 feet apart. We're going to get there. And one final word, stay safe, stay healthy, get your vaccine when it's your turn. It will get better. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. Having been one of the people serving on this committee, I just want to say a huge thank you to Patrick and John Semlak, who co-chaired this committee, and also Deborah Blau and Sarah Lyons, who's a fairly new GANYC member, who jumped in with both feet and has really been instrumental in both the original publishing of these guidelines and now the update that we are publishing now. Are the new guidelines on the site yet, Patrick? Or
Yes,
are
they are up on the site, and
Okay, great.
all the links have been checked and everything works. And yes, I was remiss in not giving out those thank yous. This has been an awesome committee. And Deborah, your head is probably going to explode with even one more compliment. Not only did you help craft this work, create the graphics for it, but you decided on the fly just learn a whole new application to do it. So we're extremely appreciative of the efforts you made. And Sarah, you are an absolute rock to have charged in, so new to our organization. So thank you.
Right. Thank you, Patrick. And that just goes to show that for those of you, especially new people, new members to GANYC who are on the webinar today, you get out of GANYC what you put into it. So look at a committee that you might be interested in volunteering for, find the chair and say you want to help out. We can always use more help within GANYC. So really appreciate that. Last but not least, is there any new business or anything else that anybody wanted to bring up tonight? You can post it in the chat box. While you are doing that, I will just give one more plug for the WFTGA conference, which begins tomorrow morning bright and early at 6 a.m. The links were posted in the chat and have been posted on the Facebook, in the GANYC Facebook members group as well. Emma, our president, was involved in the planning committee, so she had a role in putting together the wonderful program there. And while we're all sad that we weren't able to go to Serbia this year, the nice thing about these virtual events is more people can participate. So I know I'm signed up and I'll be there at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. I hope those of you who can will be there as well. And we appreciate everybody's efforts. So it doesn't look like there's anything else. Michael Dillinger from the certification committee said that for those of you who are certified guides, attending the WFTGA conference counts towards your certification maintenance. So keep that in mind as well. Since I didn't see any new business posted in the chat room, I think we can safely wrap things up for the night. So I want to thank the members of the board and all the committee chairs for coming. Great thanks to our two wonderful presenters, Toya and Nitin. And yeah, I think that's about it. So have a great night, stay safe, and we will see you guys soon.